For example, you can use Management Studio to create and save a new view, or to generate the Transact SQL for a select query without saving a new view. So in order to do that, you would come down into a particular database. Here I'll use the AdventureWorks LT 2012 database. Come down here to Views. If you want to, you can look and see there are in fact a few built-in views that come with the database. But if you want to create a new one, you can right-click on it and select New View. And that opens up this designer. So in this case, I'm going to select two different tables here. And there you can see the full designer. So I'll select Product and Product Category, and I'm holding down the Command key or the Control key in order to select both of those. And I'll add those two tables to my view that I'm generating. And I can also include additional tables. I can include the view definition, an existing view definition in this view. I can also get data from functions, and I can also reference synonyms, and there are no synonyms in this database. In this case, I'm going to create a simple view. So it's going to link together the products in this AdventureWorks LT database and the product category. All right, I can expand these a little bit. I'm not going to spend too much time on the data here, but let's say that I want to include in the resulting data the product ID, name, the product number, color, standard cost, list price, and size. And that's enough. And as you can see, it's generating this Transact SQL select statement, because it's a select statement that underlies a view definition, as I select the different items. And notice that because I selected two of the tables, there's a join that's created between these two tables. And that uses the relationship between the two tables so that I get the product category that's associated with each of the products. Okay, so I'll also select the name here. And now, let's say that my query is completely defined, that is going to be used to define the view itself. And I can change different properties of the different columns that I included. And then I can also come down here and execute the SQL so that I can see the actual data that is going to be returned by the view. So there you can see the product category as well as all of the other information that I retrieved from the different tables as part of this view definition. So that's how easy it is to create a new view. And if I wanted to persist this as a database, I could save this, click on the save icon right there, and give it a name. Okay, but I'm not going to save this one here. All right, I'll actually close this one. Won't save it. And just like for tables, if I want to script this to perform various actions, I can come here to script the view as. I can select Create To, and this will give me the code that was used to create the view, or to alter it, or to drop it, or select from the data there, and so forth. So I'll do Create To, New Query Editor window, and this shows the code, specifically the select statement, that was used in order to define that view. And this is a fairly complex select statement, but basically it's doing the same sort of thing. It's selecting data from product category, and then it's unioning, putting together additional data from product category. So I'm kind of mixing and matching different filtering conditions on that data. Okay, so simple sort of example. And I can also do things like, if I come back up here to tables and I go to, say, customer, and I want to write some code that's going to insert data into that table, I can do the same basic thing, come here to script table as, and select insert to, and I'll once again open that up in a query editor window. And now I have the beginnings of an insert into statement that is used to insert data into a specific table. In this case, the customer table, define the different fields, and then I can substitute all of these placeholders for the specific values that I want for, say, the first name, for the middle name, the last name, the company name, the salesperson, and so forth. And yet another variation is that for programming items, I can come down here to, for code modules actually, I can come down here to programmability, and let's say that I wanted to use this stored procedure. I could come in here, script the stored procedure as execute to new query editor window, and this will generate the code that I need in order to execute that stored procedure. And it has placeholders for different parameters that I need as well. Okay, another thing you can do using Management Studio is to view table rows. Because one of the most powerful features of a relational database system like SQL Server is that you can write complex queries to display related data from multiple tables in an almost infinite variety of ways. But sometimes you just want to see what's in a table without the trouble of writing a query. Even Management Studio's scripting capabilities take a few mouse clicks, and the view you get doesn't let you update the data. But Management Studio provides two easy options for viewing the contents of a table, both accessible from a pop-up menu. So first, let me start by cleaning up this workspace a little bit more again, and come over here to Object Explorer. And this time I'll come into the Worldwide Importers, and let's say that I want to see all of the data within sales.customers. So I can right-click on that table, and notice that I have the Select Top 1000 rows. What this is going to do is this is going to script a select statement for that particular table that when I execute it is going to return the top 1,000 rows. So the top 1,000 is really nice because I can easily use this on any table in the database. It may have millions of rows, but I can just display the top 1,000, which gives me a feel for the data. And it's not going to take all day to retrieve all of those records from, say, a remote server over a slow connection, if that's the database connection that I'm connected to. So I can just click on that, and then it opens up a window with the script that it created based on the definition of that table, and then immediately executed it. And now I have a real easy way of looking at the data within that table. And notice that I only got 663 rows in this particular case because that's all of the rows within the table. If there were 10 million, I would have only gotten 1,000 rows. Now another alternative is to be able to edit the data. This view down here is not editable. I can't click on it, double click on it, I can't right click on it, and there's no edit option because this is a read-only view into this data. What I can do instead if I want to edit it is come back over to this same table and edit the top 200 rows. And this gives a similar but different view into the data. But now when I select a particular row, I can change that to a different number. I'm not going to want to change that because I'll probably get errors because data is related and so forth, so I hit the escape key to get out of it. So the important thing to understand about this is that if I do make changes here and hit enter or move off of that row, that change is going to be immediately persisted back to the database. There is no undo. So you have to be really careful with this view because you can screw up your data if you're not too careful. And one thing to note about both this view that lets you edit the data as well as just the select view, the uneditable view that I showed you first, is that you can modify the query to get rid of the top and retrieve all of the rows directly from within the statement. And that 1,000 for select statements and the 200 for edit statements is configurable within the Tools Options dialog box. But I find that 200 and 1,000 works in most cases. So I leave those set to the default.